Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm Legal Vices, and it is good to see you all here today or tonight or this afternoon, whatever you're doing and wherever you're at. It is 11:02 p.m. here in dark and hot and freaking humid Busan, South Korea. Hey, welcome to all you early birds that were chatting and waiting while I was getting ready. I was reading through these things. Let's see, going through some of these through some of the comments here to see what we've missed. Good morning, everybody. Flux says the turd will never stop smelling. What do we got here? Going through, hey, early birds. That was a message I sent. All right. Did good logic get yeeted off the interwebs last night? Not seeing that delightful stream up. I would hope that he chose to take that down himself. That was really, really uncomfortable for me to watch. But hey, not my channel, not my shit, not my place to say what to do. Just kind of thought I went a little bit overboard, but whatever. Not starting drama. Just hey. All right. Guess we got a lot of people at work here. We got people from Tennessee, from the UK. What else? Where else we got here? Ha. Beauty in her brain, finally catching alive. Hi, y'all. Hi. Good morning from NYC, Lita Love. Cool. We've got people checking in from all over the globe. Rocco Rockwell, you're not waiting anymore because I'm here. South of England says hi. Texas. All right, we got Melbourne, more England. Got lots of England. I got Farron was upset. Yeah, I kind of gathered that as well. I'm an incredibly open person, and frankly, that stream made me a little bit uncomfortable. All right, here we go. Kentucky, South Africa, Norway, Virginia, and et cetera, Southeast Louisiana, the kitty cat. Okay. All right. We're just kind of waiting for people to trickle in here. What we're doing today. More Amber Depp, Johnny Heard. Oh my God. Amber. Did I say Amber Depp and Johnny Heard? I'm still suffering a bit from jet lag from my vacation. I'm kind of being able to stay awake a little bit later now, but it's 11 o'clock here. I'm already kind of getting a little fuzzy headed. So just kind of bear with me when I say stupid shit like Amber Depp and Johnny Heard. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That's what we're talking about. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, I had no desire to talk about this. I want nothing to do with the situation. But hey, that's what the interwebs are demanding. We had this release, and it's got some really interesting stuff that I think people might find fascinating. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next while. While we're waiting for kind of people to gather here, we'll go through our usual pre-game show, which basically is saying what's going to be happening, what's going to be coming up. Probably do Johnny Depp, Amber Heard the rest of this week and into some of next week, if not all of next week. I hope I don't have to go beyond next week with this stuff because we got a lot of other things to do. This Friday, however, will be a break. This Friday, I will have Fair and Balanced on my channel. We'll be doing our conspiracy show on my channel this time. We're going to alternate back and forth. We're going to be talking about Bigfoot. We're going to be talking about hauntings. We're going to be talking about the mysteries of Tsar Nicholas Romanov and the Romanov family. And then we'll just be talking about whatever the hell comes up. I like Farron a lot. And when we get in our conversations, weird things happen. So looking forward to that. That'll be on Friday night, Korea time, Friday morning, US time, and Friday afternoon, Europe time. Then next Monday, we'll still probably do our Maritime Matters Day. Next Tuesday, when we continue with our Johnny Depp, Amber Heard stuff, we'll be having Andrea Burkhart on. Andrea Burkhart is going to tell us a little bit about her involvement in publishing or releasing, I guess is the right word, releasing all of these documents out into the wild. Jeff looks like he just hopped off the set of Peaky Blinders. I take that as a compliment. They're all a good looking bunch of guys. And I would love to live my life the way Arthur lives his life. So that's kind of what's on the horizon for the next week or two, and then we'll see what happens after that. But for the foreseeable future, at least for the next 2 weeks, this week and next week, we'll be talking about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard document release. So while we're here, we're ready to go. I think we got a bunch of people in here already. What do we got? We got 164 people watching right now, and we've got 80 likes. So we have to go through the usual like, subscribe, and super chat grift. So bear with me as we do that. Please, if you're here, if you're watching this, hit that like button. That really lets YouTube know that y'all love me and you want me to stick around, and it puts us on their algorithm. It shows up on recommendations, and it really helps the channel grow. Those are the few of the main important things. The likes, like the video, like the hell out of this video so it gets more attention. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope today you will have it in your heart to do me the solid and hit that subscription button, because obviously the subscriptions help. The more people that subscribe, the more YouTube pays attention and the more we get recommended in the algorithm. It also makes me feel warm and fuzzy. We picked up about 200 subscribers yesterday. That was incredible. I know it's an unrealistic goal to expect another 200 of you will subscribe today, but I certainly hope so. That would be really, really awesome. I like this exponential growth. So please, if you're interested in any of this, we do maritime stuff. We do the Johnny Depp Heard thing. We're obviously involved in the Manson and Evan Rachel Wood defamation suit. We're talking about Baldwin's. We're going to be bringing up O.J. Simpson trial stuff soon, just for nostalgia's sake. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff again with Fair and Balanced. We do this conspiracy theory thing. And also coming up probably in a couple of weeks, Fair and Balanced, myself, and Legal Mindset will be involved in a Datamax stream. That should be fun. Talking about dating and preferences and things. Basically that thing that kind of got Kurt in trouble a while back. We're going to do it, but we're going to have fun of it. We're going to lean way into that shit and have a good time. But now, again, after you hit the like and subscribe button, don't forget to hit the notification button. And I know I've mentioned this several times, but YouTube is going through this weird purge thing, which they seem to do about every quarter. Every few months, they'll just start randomly unsubscribing people from channels they're subscribed to. So if you are a subscriber, just double check down there and make sure that you are still a subscriber. And if YouTube has done their YouTube thing and gone full YouTube, then make sure you hit that subscribe button again. Georgina Archer, legal vices in threesome. Hey, I've got no problem with threesomes, but not the two-guy kind. Two guys is one too many guys involved. But anywho, yeah. All right. And as we go forward through here, the way to make sure I see your comment, if you have a question that you want to make sure I address, if you have something you desperately want to say to the internet at large and want to make sure I get it out, want to make sure I notice what you're saying, super chats are the way to do it. They come up in bright, pretty colors, and that alerts me, and I can see them and I can pay attention to them. So just hit the super chats if you want to make sure you interact directly with me. I try to look at the chat here as much as I can, but especially on nights like tonight where I'm reading documents and I'm focusing on reading documents, I can't really see the list that's going on over here. So I kind of need the flashing alert of colors to alert me when someone wants to say something or ask a question. So please don't forget the super chats. That's there. That gets you noticed. That gets you priority, and I make sure that you're seen and heard and responded to. With all that BS out of the way, yeah, see, Rocco Rockwell says they did it to me, and I've been subscribed since your first appearance on Ricada. See, so YouTube just does this thing. I don't know why. It's only YouTube knows, and I'm not even sure they know, where random people get randomly unsubscribed at random times. So, all right. let us begin. Oops, I've just maximized my window and I didn't want to do that. What I wanted to do was this. Ta-da! What are we doing today? Oh, Alan Tempest is kicking it off with a solid super chat because he wants to be internet famous. He wants to be the center of attention. He wants to say something to me. And he said, "Hi, Jeff." Got a little heart. Hey, Alan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that super chat. You are the man for starting this thing off. You rock. Let's keep it going. All right. A lot of people are digging into the motions in limine, they're called. They're motions to limit. In other words, it's a big, long list of things that they don't want the other side or the public or the jury to know. And everybody across the internet has been having fun bashing Amber Heard, going into the things that she wanted to keep out of the case. All of the dirty things, the irrelevant things, the deep dark secrets that she may have. Everybody's going in on her motion to limit access to this stuff. But the question to ask, what is Johnny Depp trying to hide? What does he want to hide? Because I've been reading news recently, and apparently this release of documents is really, really bad for Johnny Depp. Somehow it's hurting him. So today, let's find out what that heathen, what that alcoholic, drug addict, good for nothing, alleged wife, girlfriend, and other person is up to. So that's it. Let's find out. What does Johnny Depp want to keep out? What deep dark secrets is he hiding? Well, this is probably going to take a number of days. Why? Because of the way he presented this motion in limine. Amber Heard's was about 960 something pages long, and it was just an absolute mess of things she wanted to keep out. And it's really hard to follow. It's confusing. It's just convoluted. But what Johnny Depp did is his team made a separate motion to limit for each individual separate issue. So you can keep the issues separate and distinct from each other because they're the subject of different motions. And that's what we're going to look at today. As it says here, filed under seal, plaintiff John C. Depp 2. Motion in limine. Again, that's just a motion to limit. And what does it do? To exclude evidence and arguments regarding judgment in the United Kingdom. Now, if you came here to find out what it is that Johnny Depp is trying to hide, what it is that he does not want to get out into public, you may be a little bit surprised here today. Amber's is salacious and there's a morbid curiosity what she's trying to hide. But Johnny Depp, in all fairness to Amber Heard, Johnny Depp was trying to keep a lot of stuff out too. So let's look at that. And again, when we start, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and get in touch with me through Super Chats. Here we go. Plaintiff Johnny C. Depp, the second's motion in limine to exclude evidence and arguments regarding judgment in the United Kingdom. That was a huge part of this trial. That was a major, major part when Team Heard was doing their absolute best to try to find some way to tie this case to the UK case. They tried so hard to get as much information as possible from the UK hearing into this case. They so desperately wanted to say in court that Johnny Depp lost that lawsuit in the UK. And clearly, Johnny Depp doesn't want that to be out there. So, what we did last night, we read bits and pieces of motion. This is rather long. It's 4 pages long, but this is an incredibly important motion that Johnny Depp Johnny Depp's team made, and that largely we can say he won. So let's find out why he wanted to keep the UK judgment out, what grounds he wanted to keep it out on, and what the court ultimately decided. Let's see. Oh, and before we start, we got to go through the. I do not have the official Johnny Depp Mega Pint Legal Vices Pimp Cup here. Oh, I haven't. I have the empty one from yesterday that I didn't wash yet, but I don't have it because it's just really super hot in here, and the ice melts really quickly, and it just gets warm and icky. So tonight I'm just going with a straight, neat Scotch. Today's beverage of choice is Ardbeg. It was just this is Ardbeg Corey Vrecken, a delicious and lovely and heavily peated briny Isla Scotch, coming in at a delicious 57.1% ABV. And that's what's in the glass tonight. Tonight, I just feel like having a nice, deep, dark, rich, oily, smoky, peaty Scotch. So cheers to all of you for that. And someone always asks what watch I've got on today. Today is a Longines. Can we get to the camera? It's a Longines blue-faced moon phase watch. Ow, God, that was really nice. And it's getting really hot, so I'm going to take this watch off too because it's got a nice alligator leather band that I don't want to get all ooey. But that is a lovely little watch from Longines. That's what I was wearing today. All right, that's my legal vices out of the way, and I just came back from smoking a couple of cigars with friends. So we've got the cigars, we've got the whiskey, we've got the watches, and we've got the hat. So that's the legal vices out of the way. Now let's get into Johnny Depp's legal vices. What is he keeping out? What does he not want you to see? What deep, dark, dirty secrets does Johnny Depp have? The first one is we don't want anyone to know about the UK lawsuit. And why not? Again, this is 4 pages. I think we need to read most of this, if not all of it, because it is just that important. This was just a huge, huge issue that they made, and that Team Amber really desperately wanted to get in. So here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Plaintiff and counter-defendant John C. Depp II, Mr. Depp, requests the court exclude evidence and arguments regarding the November 2, 2020 judgment, the UK judgment, of the High Court of Justice Queen's Bench Division in the case entitled John C. Depp II v. News Group Limited, case number blah, 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 UK action as follows. Introduction and summary of relevant facts and issues. As the court is aware, Mr. Depp previously engaged in litigation in the United Kingdom against a tabloid, The Sun, which involved the allegations of abuse between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. So far, it's the same as the one in the States, so why keep it out? That particular case resulted in the UK judgment in favor of The Sun. Johnny Depp lost. As the court is also aware, the UK judgment, and this is right here the reason why it's excluded. The UK judgment was rendered in a different court, in a different country, in an action between different parties with different rules of discovery and different rules of evidence. That's kind of it in a nutshell. On this basis, among others, this court overruled Ms. Heard's supplemental plea in bar by letter and opinion, blah, blah, blah. This supplemental plea in bar by letter, opinion, and order from August 17th, 2022. That date is a bit odd. I think I meant 2021. But anyway, they made this motion. They wanted this stuff in, but the court determined that the UK judgment has no preclusive effect here. In so ruling, the court found that the supplemental plea in bar was misguided. And this is the court talking, not Johnny Depp's lawyers. Georgina Archer. Yeah, Brits are different. M&E says because it was BS. Yeah, that's kind of the short answer. But the court found that this is Judge Ascarati's court. Where do you go? Yeah, supplemental plea was misguided only thinly supported by pre-existing law. The procedural and substantive laws regarding libel claims in the UK are vastly different than the laws in Virginia, and that Mr. Depp's defamation claim in the UK was based on completely different statements than the present case. And to enforce the UK defamation judgment in this case would go against public policy. So that's one thing that Team Amber does not acknowledge and does not appreciate. That, as he said, is different courts, different countries, different parties, different rules of discovery, different rules of evidence, different statements, different laws. It's just different. They are incredibly dissimilar cases. Literally, the only common feature between the two cases is that they were both defamation cases. So in short, the UK judgment has no weight in this action. It represents findings made without personal knowledge of the underlying facts, based on evidence that would not even be admissible in this action, in the context of different legal issues. As such, it is irrelevant, hearsay, and above all else would be unfairly prejudicial to allow Mr. Heard to present a finding by a UK court that her claim that Mr. Depp was a wife beater was substantially true to a jury. So basically, it would be prejudicial. It would prejudice if the jury was aware or knew about the English court judgment. It would unfairly prejudice them to begin their deliberations with the idea that perhaps Johnny Depp was guilty because he was found guilty in another country's courts. Now, Ms. Heard and her counsel have nonetheless repeatedly telegraphed their intent of broadcasting the UK judgment to the jury. For instance, Ms. Heard's attorney has referenced or used the UK judgment repeatedly in deposition. It is anticipated that Ms. Heard will attempt to put the UK judgment front and center at trial. She should be precluded from doing so. Well, what are his arguments for that, other than what we've already read? The UK judgment is legally irrelevant and has no evidentiary value. The contents of the UK judgment have no legal or factual value. In Virginia, the term relevant evidence is limited to, quote, evidence having a tendency to make the existence of any fact in issue more probable or less probable than it would be without evidence. So that's the only thing that's considered relevant evidence in Virginia, is evidence that makes a fact seem more or less likely. Only relevant evidence is admissible. Evidence that is not relevant is not admissible. The UK judgment does not meet the threshold standard of relevance and ought to be excluded in its entirety. As noted above, the court has already determined in its August 17, 2021 letter opinion and order that the UK judgment has no binding effect in this action, and that the factual issues in this case will be tried by a jury. As such, the legal impact of the UK judgment on this case is non-existent. So that's the first argument. It just is literally the legal impact of the UK judgment on the US case is literally non-existent. Similarly, the UK judgment is lacking in any evidentiary factual value. It does not contain competent or admissible testimony in any form. To state the obvious, the UK court did not have first-hand personal knowledge of the relationship between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. In fact, the UK judgment merely constitutes the conclusions drawn by a single judge in the UK based on evidence presented over the course of the trial in the UK action under different rules of evidence applying different law. The jury is well capable of drawing its own conclusions about the evidence that is presented to it, and the conclusions drawn by the UK court simply have no evidentiary value and are irrelevant. Those are solid arguments. And now the second argument is that the UK judgment constitutes unsworn hearsay, and hearsay is literally that. You hear someone say something. Furthermore, it is offered in evidence in this action the contents of the UK judgment would be mere hearsay, not within any exception, a statement of the opinion of a single court in a foreign jurisdiction. In fact, the UK judgment contains multiple levels of hearsay. as it recites out-of-court statements of witnesses that testified or submitted witness statements in the UK action, often in violation of Virginia evidentiary rules. So saying that the way the evidence was collected and presented in the UK trial in many ways violates the laws of Virginia. So you cannot have them together. It is okay. Virginia law is clear that hearsay is not admissible. Quotes the law. Hearsay is not admissible except as provided by these rules of the Supreme Court of Virginia or the Virginia statutes or case law. If offered for the truth of its contents, the UK judgment and multiple levels of hearsay therein are inadmissible hearsay that does not fall within any exception. Above all else, this is the third argument, any non-existence probative value of the UK judgment is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice to Mr. Depp and to the likelihood of misleading or confusing the jury. So the probative value, what is probative value? It means the value, whatever's contained in that document, will it be substantially significant in probing the issue? But even if it's something is valuable, is relevant, you also have to weigh the fact, does that relevance become outweighed by whatever prejudice that may be given you or given the jury by the statement? So, I mean, if someone actually is a wife beater and there's evidence that says they're a wife beater, you have to say, okay, that is obviously probative of the truth. We have evidence that he is a wife beater, but would calling them a wife beater be more prejudicial than beneficial? So above all else, to allow Ms. Heard to present evidence to the jury of the UK judgment, which essentially adjudged Mr. Depp a wife beater, would be enormously and unfairly prejudicial to Mr. Depp. And that prejudice would overwhelmingly outweigh any minimal or non-existent probative value of the UK judgment. Moreover, the potential for the UK judgment to confuse or mislead the jury is obvious and unavoidable. That is a major point. They're saying that this case that was rendered under different laws, different issues, different rules of evidence, different rules of, just all these differences. If the jury in this case is allowed to hear that he was found guilty, found liable, or I guess it was found that he was not defamed by this statement in the Sun. If the jury knew that and they see that the UK judgment said that he was a wife beater, then that would prejudice how they view this case. That's the argument, that they would be prejudiced by this to the point that they would be unable to make a impartial decision. The jury may understandably afford a great weight to a judicial determination, given the fact that the average juror will not understand the legal nuances that make this attribution unwarranted. In other words, the average juror wouldn't be able to distinguish between the UK laws and the US laws, and they would be prejudiced in that way. And this, as you can see, is the final page. As the court and Ms. Heard counsel already know, the findings of the UK court reflected in the UK judgment are in no way binding on this proceedings. There you go. Foreign laws are not in and of themselves binding upon other jurisdictions. That's their laws, their system, their cases, their judgment. Now, there are processes you can go through to have a foreign judgment recognized and enforced in your country, but just because it's a judgment by a court does not necessarily mean that it's binding here in the United States. And here in the United States, I mean, there in the United States. I mean, Korea. So rather, the jury is entitled, indeed required, to make its own factual determinations based solely on the evidence that is offered and admitted in this proceedings in accordance with this court's ruling as to the admissibility of evidence and instructions under Virginia law. Again, that means, in a nutshell, the jury is required to make its own factual determinations without relying on the statements or findings in the UK proceedings. That's totally beyond the scope of this, and it should be focused on the jury. The jury focuses on the evidence presented to it, not evidence that is handed to them by another court. to allow Ms. Heard to present evidence and arguments to the jury about the conclusions drawn by a court in a prior proceeding involving different parties, different evidence, and laws would have an obvious tendency to confuse or mislead the jury, swaying them to make findings inconsistent with those already made, without regard to the numerous differences between the two actions. And that's what Elaine wanted to do. She wanted to harp on this and pound on this and say, UK said this, UK said that, UK said the other thing, where that really doesn't have an impact whatsoever on this case. So clearly the reason that she was doing that was just to prejudice the jury against Johnny Depp by repeatedly telling them that he was declared a wife beater by the English courts. Even though the UK judgment has no legal impact or evidentiary value in this action, a jury will certainly be tempted to accord weight to findings of an official, albeit foreign, tribunal. The potential for undue prejudice to Mr. Depp is if such evidence is admitted, is beyond serious dispute. So therefore, this motion in limine should be granted, accordingly should be granted. And so they're saying that to the extent that the court is inclined to deny this motion, so if the court is not fully on board to just completely accept this motion, they're offering the court an alternative to limit how the references to the UK trial can be used. And that's what this is here. To the extent that the court is inclined to deny this motion in limine and allow reference to the UK judgment by Ms. Heard, the court should grant Mr. Depp's concurrent request in motion in limine number 2 to bifurcate the damages phase of trial and to preclude the introduction of any reference to the UK judgment prior to the damage phase of trial. Now, you can set that aside for the minute. That's going to be the focus of the next motion that Johnny Depp did. But basically, they want to separate the damages section from the liability section and limit any discussion of the UK judgment to the damages section. And so in conclusion, the motion in limine should be granted and the court should enter an in limine order precluding Ms. Heard from presenting evidence or argument to the jury regarding the UK judgment or the UK findings in the UK action, or otherwise even mentioning the UK judgment or findings and conclusions contained herein. So that's the basis. That's the reason why. And the court accepted this order basically and kept out most references to the UK trial. And it would have been accepted on the grounds that Johnny Depp presented, which is basically it's irrelevant, different cases, different laws, different structure, different court, different plaintiffs, different statements, everything like that. So then we just have the forms here that they want the judge to sign. Go down, down, down. Okay. That's the first one. And we have a super chat to clear from Leela Love. Thank you so much for the super chat. Your hat game is strong, Jeff. AH won in London because the judge found her credible. No. The judge found the son's arguments to be credible and acceptable. We have to bear in mind, and I know you got laughy faces here at the end, but it's one thing that the Amber Heard supporters, by and large, again, refuse to acknowledge and admit is that Amber Heard was not a party to the UK proceedings. She was not a party. End of story. Amber Heard didn't win a fucking thing in the UK trial. Not a goddamn thing. She had no ponies in that particular circus. So that's something to keep in mind. And again, like I said, I know you have the laughy face at the end, but that's one thing that really annoys me when people keep saying, oh, Amber Heard won in the UK. No, she didn't. She did not win in the UK. She wasn't a party. She could not have won. So that, again, I know you know what's going on, but yeah, that's a trigger point for me. So thank you so much for that super chat, Leela Love. You're helping kick this thing off. The next thing here. This is why I don't read the chats. Phil all day. Sorry, I only just dropped in. I've been busy squeezing these nuts into my baldo. I am British after all. You got this. Oh, that's why I don't pay attention to the chat. All right. Let's move on to motion number 2. And again, he's got like a bajillion motions. His collection of motions are 424 pages, so they're a little less than half as long as Amber Heard's. So let's boogie on down to this next one here. Oh, we forgot to address this. This is Johnny C. Depp's motion in limine to bifurcate the trial as to liability and damages. He lost this one because they didn't do this. But this is a really interesting argument. So this is something Johnny Depp was trying to do, which ultimately he didn't need to do, and ultimately the judge rejected. And literally all bifurcate means, if you're not aware, is to split it into 2 sections. So plaintiff and counterclaim defendant John C. Depp, by and through his undersigned counsel, hereby moves this honorable court for an order bifurcating the trial as to the issues of liability and damages pursuant to the court's authority, blah, blah, blah. And here he sets out the reasons why. The introduction. This is a case about allegations of abuse. It is also, and one thing I want you to notice is this is pretty fairly worded for both sides. This isn't one of these motions where like we pound our shields and we bash the hell out of the other party and call them stupid and ignorant and all those things. This is a fairly balanced motion that is beneficial for both sides if the court awards it, if the court grants it, but the court didn't. So it also creates a case about claimed damages. So it's about allegations of abuse and about claimed damages to reputation with respect to 2 high-profile individuals, Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, both of whom have periodically experienced significant negative press coverage. It has the potential to be a complete circus. So the judge did a pretty good job of keeping it from becoming a complete circus. So particularly where the evidence of damage to both parties' reputations must be introduced to the jury. So if you're asking for money, you have to prove your damages. You have to get into the gory details of how you were damaged and present that to the jury for the jury to decide how much they think that damage was worth. So this must be introduced to the jury as the parties' reputation are both at issue due to the fact that a portion of Ms. Heard's counterclaim for defamation remains at issue. If the jury is exposed to many ugly things that has never been said about the parties before, it makes the determination as to liability. There exists a strong risk that the jury's decision may be improperly influenced by the inflammatory things that have been said about Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. So to minimize the risk of such prejudice and to also serve the best interest of judiciary efficiency in connection with what is now a 7-week trial, the court should enter an order bifurcating the trial into 2 phases, with liability decided first, followed by a subsequent phase on damages after the requisite factual determinations have been made. So all right, what we're asking, what Johnny Depp's team is asking the court to do is to separate the trial into 2 separate phases or 2 separate stages of the trial. One stage would be the liability stage for both cases. And so that would be, okay, Judge, first, let's just establish, were these statements defamation? Were they defamatory? So that the first, they wanted the courts to examine only that issue, only examine the issue of liability. Is Johnny Depp liable to Amber Heard for the statements that he and his agent made? And the issue of, is Amber Heard liable to Johnny Depp for the statements she made in the Washington Post op-ed piece? So they wanted the court to decide that first. And after the court decides that issue, after the jury decides that issue, then they wanted the court to consider the damages. And that's because the damages section is where you get into all of the horrific allegations. The allegations, okay, we have to assess the damages because he or she did all these rotten things, and that affected his or her marketability and her ability to work and his or her ability to get money. So again, that's essentially what they wanted to do, was say, okay, first, keep all that gory stuff out, keep all the details of people's past and their actions and their drug use and all this other shit, keep that out of the first section, deal only with who is liable. And then once the jury has decided who, if anyone, is liable for anything, then let's bring out the guns and start talking nasty stuff about each other, and let the jury use that to establish how much damage each party suffered, rather than use all of this gory information to prejudice the jury and lead them to come to a bad conclusion. I wish I was drunk. Thank you for your super chat. How are we? We are doing great today. We're having a good day today. We're looking into what Johnny Depp is trying to hide from everybody. So that's what he wants to do. He wants to separate it into two different phases, the liability phase and the damages phase. So he said, presenting such evidence to the jury, being the bad stuff mentioned up here, the divorce, this action, and Mr. Depp's defamation suit in the UK as a tabloid. So, so the press, he's just saying these are all the bad things we need to keep out. So presenting such of this bad evidence to the jury to the determination of liability would raise a severe risk of improperly swaying the jury, leading to a decision on liability that is rooted not in fact, but on the inflammatory press coverage. So they want us to make sure we stick to the facts and not the sorry, Steph. Oh, I didn't bring that back up again, did I? I boomered the hell out of everybody by reading this shit without bringing the document up. I was reading it. I just wasn't letting you read it. So Steph alerted me to that. Holy crap. Steph, good morning. How are you this morning? I'm good. Thank you for that ridiculously large super chat. Speechless. Now, Steph, thank you. Quick question, Steph. Do you mind if I mention your situation right now? Just send me a little message here in the chat whether I can mention your current situation without getting into details. Please make a note of that there in the chat, and then if necessary, I'll mention something. If you don't want me to, I won't. But thank you so much for the. Okay. Now you say not at all. Does that mean you don't mind at all, or don't mention it at all? You have to be clear. Is it okay to mention it, or is it not okay to mention it? Well, I'm just kind of stunned here. Let me bring this up here while she decides yes, I can, or no, I can't. All right. Okay, Steph says it's okay. A couple of days ago, Steph here was involved in a rather serious car accident, and she's been hospitalized for the past 2 days. And if I recall correctly, you said you were getting out tomorrow, but apparently it was a pretty bad accident. And as is wont to happen with airbags, you get a bomb go off in your face, and the airbag often does a lot of damage. And that was apparently the situation here. So Steph is currently, if I'm correct, still in the hospital. So give her some best wishes. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Steph. That was a shocker. Wow. All right. Back on track. So good, best wishes to you, Steph, for a speedy and swift recovery, because you deserve it. And again, thank you for that ridiculously generous super chat. Wow. Okay, that kind of took me by surprise. Yeah, okay. Skip down here a little bit. In the interest of I'm stuttering now. Jesus, thanks. In the interest of avoiding wasting the courts, the juries, and the parties' time and resources, presenting evidence on damages which may be moot or which may be unnecessary, the court should delay a trial of the damages until it's been determined which party's damages are to be assessed, if any. So, this is reasonable to me. This happens a lot, especially in UK proceedings, where you'll have the liability phase and then the damage phase. So this makes a lot of sense. If there's two parties claiming damages, let the jury first decide who owes who money. Just get that out of the way first. Because if Amber Heard doesn't owe Johnny Depp any money, then we don't need to talk about Johnny Depp's damages because Amber Heard doesn't owe him any. And vice versa. If Johnny Depp doesn't owe Amber Heard any money, then we don't need to worry about how much damages she suffered because she didn't suffer any. And if you talk about damages and liability at the same time, it can lead to confusion of the jury. So I actually agree with it. I think this is a very legitimate way of avoiding that situation. Just first let the jury decide who is liable to who. And once you do that, how much are they liable? Then go into the damages and liability section. I wish I was drunk. Thank you so much for the super chat that is directed at Steph. Quick recovery. And we got a little shamrock there because I wish I was drunk, I'm assuming is Irish. I managed to deduct that and put that together. All righty. So yeah, I agree with this. I think this is a fair way of doing it. And I kind of wish the court would have done this, but they didn't. So indeed, on this basis, the court has already scheduled a separate tentative trial. We can skip down here a bit. The prevailing party's damages trial could efficiently be encompassed within this proceeding, which is scheduled to proceed in the summer to the extent necessary. The interest of avoiding jury confusion and prejudice, as well as judicial economy, are best served by bifurcating the trial into a first phase on liability, i.e. the truth or falsity of the parties' respective alleged defamatory statements, and a subsequent phase on damages. And their arguments are pretty basic. The arguments are that the court has the discretion to do this. The Virginia Code, Section 8.01-272, says that the court can do this. The court, in its discretion, may order a separate trial for any claim. Any counterclaim shall be governed by the rules. So the court has the authority to do it. And they go through here and they say that the Supreme Court of Virginia has expressed approval of bifurcating liability and damages in scenarios where potential prejudice arises, which seems to be the case in here. And they say that the bifurcation is necessary to minimize unfair prejudice, where they repeat the arguments that were made above. Now, that's one thing. Yesterday, someone made the comment that Ben Chu needs to learn how to write a better argument because he keeps repeating things. That is what that is how you write in legal writing. You put a summary of what you're going to say, and then you put a longer statement expanding on that summary, and then you basically repeat the things with all of the references. And why do you do that? Because it's like they say in advertising. When I worked in radio way back in the day, and we had to we had to write commercials and things. They would say, tell them what you told them, and then tell them again what you told them. So basically, you want to keep repeating your point to drive it into the head of the judge. So they talk about the jury instructions and how that can be handled. And then they say the bifurcation would serve the interest of judicial economy, which means it would save time and effort on the court's part. And then they make the conclusion that the foregoing reasons the court should grant this motion to bifurcate the trial should be granted, basically. So far, there's nothing really major there's nothing major, secret, and sneaky and damaging that Johnny Depp wants to keep out. He just wants to keep out the reference to the UK jury, and he wants to keep out all of the mudslinging and horrible comments about each other until we have decided who is liable for what. Let's move on to the next motion here. There's a bajillion of these motions. Some are important, some are not important. See, I gotta keep going down here. So many forums attached by Benjamin G. Chu. Hang on, why do I keep doing that? What have we done? How have I boomered this one? How did I get down to page 424 already? What have I done? Come on, scooch up there. Jesus. All right, there we go. And in the meantime, we have a couple of more super chats to get through. Sir, punch to face. I like that. Cheers to the ID there. Thank you so much for the super chat. Off topic, but as a fellow return missionary, we have a fellow former return missionary. Let me have another drink while I read your comment. Former missionary, sorry. Went to Germany, Berlin mission 2014 to 2016. Who decided that the whole thing wasn't for me? Okay, never mind. I can take a drink then. I appreciate you. Enjoy hearing your takes on stuff. Cheers, former Mormon missionary. There's a drink of scotch for you. That was good. Thank you so much for that super chat there. And back to Steph. Steph made another one. Oh, another super chat. Just because I missed your show yesterday. Well, you were kind of busy yesterday. You were getting put back together in a hospital. But again, thank you very much. That's deeply appreciated. Georgina Archer, super chat. Steph, you on meds? Yeah, seriously. I hope these aren't med-induced ridiculous donations. If they are, I apologize. Orange is Away said, you have great supporters here. I do, and you're one of them. Orange is Away, you've been here from day one. You're one of the great supporters. Yeah, so let's hope you're just not on drugs and slinging your card around. Otherwise, I'd feel really, really bad. So, all right, let's find out what I boomered up here and get us back on track. That's the UK proceedings. And this is the bifurcation. I don't know how I skipped the entire damn stack of papers. All right. Here we have motion in limine number 3. No meds. Geez. You're a tough one, Steph. Plaintiff John C. Depp's motion in limine number 3. This is an interesting one. This is where we start getting into maybe some salacious details. He wants to exclude evidence and arguments regarding whether Los Angeles Police Department followed procedures. So they're expecting Amber Heard to argue that those policemen who visited the house repeatedly violated some sort of procedure. They didn't follow procedure, which may have led to him not being held accountable. So let's see what and why he wants to hide or to exclude. We'll say exclude because that sounds less evil. So let's find out what he wants to exclude in regard to the Los Angeles Police Department's procedural problems. Okay. Plaintiff Johnny C. Depp, blah, blah, blah. Exclude anticipated evidence and arguments by Ms. Heard regarding whether 4 Los Angeles Police Department officers followed procedures in responding to calls related to Depp and Ms. Heard. Well, okay, why wouldn't the issue of whether cops followed proper procedure be relevant in this case? Why wouldn't you let this in? Let's find out what the reasoning is. So again, we've if you watch the trial and maybe you saw these videos of the 2 sets of police officers going to the residence and determining that there was no sign of abuse anywhere. On May 21st, 2016, 2 separate pairs of officers responded to a call at certain penthouses in Los Angeles where Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard maintained a residence, following an episode of purported violence during which Ms. Heard contends she sustained visible injuries to her face. You remember her face was supposed to be swollen and red and puffy and all this other shit. So they responded to these allegations where Ms. Heard said she sustained visible injuries to her face after Mr. Depp allegedly threw a phone at her. And we read yesterday that he threw the phone at her with a great deal of force, allegedly. And further contends that Mr. Depp caused extensive property damage to the penthouses, complete with broken picture frames and furniture, spilled wine, and shattered glass. Mr. Depp denies doing any such thing, and the officers in question, LAPD officers, name, all came to the penthouses, saw no injuries, saw no property damages, and left. As such, the officers are percipient witnesses to a lack of injuries, which just means they're we don't even need the word percipient there. The officers are witnesses to a lack of injuries and property damage. That is the essence of their testimony. Again, as we saw them testify, none of them saw any visible signs of any injuries to Ms. Heard. They are not, of course, parties to this action, and no claim has been asserted based on any allegation of misconduct by the LAPD. Ms. Heard, and I love the way Ben does his arguments. Ms. Heard, you can just hear him saying, Ms. Heard, unfortunately, appears determined to engage in an attack on these officers. Yes, she's going to attack the officers by asserting that they did not follow certain procedures. That leads to the question, so what? Arguing that they somehow failed to follow proper police procedures. She has retained an expert on that topic, Adam Burkovici, and has deposed the corporate designee of the LAPD on 4 separate occasions on multiple topics. The deposing multiple corporate designees, Maria, blah, 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 people. Given her scorched earth approach to this topic, it is readily apparent that Ms. Heard intends to spend time at trial arguing to the jury that the police officer who arrived at the party's residence failed to follow procedures. Mr. Depp has his own expert who will testify, if the court allows Ms. Heard to go down this rabbit hole, that the officers did, in fact, correctly follow LAPD policies and procedures, such as policies and procedures relating to responding to domestic violence calls. But, and here comes the but. We all like the but, don't we? That's where the excitement is. The excitement is right there in the but. Let's turn our attention to the but. But I'm 12 years old. I'm sorry. But setting aside the fact that Ms. Heard's arguments in that respect appear to be meritless. So just forget that it seems that there's no merit to her claims, and forget that the LAPD officers acted correctly under these circumstances since there was no evidence of violence. None of that even matters, he puts in big bold letters. So there we see the argument. This should be excluded. All allegations and assertions that the police followed to fail proper procedures should be excluded because it doesn't matter whether or not they actually followed procedures. It just does. He says none of that even matters. The police officers are relevant as percipient or real-time, real-place witnesses. Their testimony in this case relates merely to what they perceived when they went to the penthouses and observed no signs of domestic violence. As such, whether or not they followed procedures is simply irrelevant. This is not an action against the LAPD. The officers are not parties. Their conduct is not at issue. Their abidance by procedures is not at issue. The only thing at issue is what they saw and what they did not see. Ms. Heard should not be allowed to consume time at trial by exploring this patently irrelevant topic. The court should enter an in limine order precluding evidence of whether or not the LAPD officers followed procedures, including the following. And these are the procedures that Johnny Depp doesn't want anyone to talk about at trial. So they want to exclude the deposition testimony of Maria, the deposition testimony of everybody, and expert testimony of Adam Burkovici. Now, they turn to the argument, which again is expounding on what we just went over. Ms. Heard's anticipated evidence regarding LAPD policies and procedures is a pointless rabbit hole that has nothing to do with the issues in this action. If this were an action against the LAPD and the officers involved, then perhaps it might make more sense to explore whether the officers followed procedure. But the officer's sole involvement in this case was to respond to a call at Mr. Depp's penthouse where they met with Ms. Heard, observed no injuries despite her claiming later to have had visible injuries, saw no property damage despite her claiming that they observed extensive property damage, and then left. Of course, only relevant evidence is admissible. What the police officers saw on a night when Ms. Heard contends that she was a victim of domestic violence is obviously relevant. That's the relevant issue. What did they see when they responded to the call? But whether or not the officers followed procedure has no tendency to prove or disprove that material fact. Ms. Heard's explanation of that issue is a complete sideshow. I like the way Ben Chu words these things. Ms. Heard is entitled to question and challenge the officer's perceptions. She should not be allowed to consume time by exploring policies and procedures of a police department in California that have nothing to do with any issue in this case. Now, in the previous motion, we talked about the balancing the probative value, the value as evidence versus the prejudicial effect that evidence could have. Here, he wants us to balance, Ben Chu wants us to balance the probative value of the evidence versus the complete waste of time and misleading the jury that may arise from addressing these issues. So any probative value of evidence as to whether the LAPD followed procedures is substantially outweighed by the undue consumption of time and likelihood of confusing or misleading the jury. It makes no sense to turn a portion of this case into a trial within a trial on whether the LAPD officers correctly followed LAPD procedures. The conduct, again, this is going back to what I was saying about legal writing. Pound the idea into the court's head again and again and again and again and again until the court basically says, okay, you're right. Shut the fuck up. Stop arguing this shit. I'm going to give it to you. The conduct of the LAPD officers is simply not at issue. The only relevant question is whether they witnessed evidence of domestic violence or not. Wading into the LAPD's policies and procedures is a pointless exercise that would distract the jury from any actual issues and unduly consume time. Accordingly, the evidence in question should be excluded. That's it. So that's another thing. He's tried to, again, you could spin this by saying Johnny Depp wants to hide improper actions of police of police officers. Police officers fail to follow procedures in investigating domestic abuse claims. You can spin it that way. But as Chu said in his arguments, it doesn't matter. We're not arguing whether procedures were followed. We're arguing about what they saw. What did the police officers witness with their own eyes? That's the only thing that's relevant. That's the only thing that's important. Their investigative techniques and whether or not they followed procedures is irrelevant and should be excluded. And as I recall correctly, this motion was completely accepted by the court because you didn't hear any of these arguments during the trial. You didn't hear any of the arguments about whether or not they followed procedure. I'll scan through some more of these forms. All right. Having concluded the third of about 500 million of these things, it's time for me to stretch a little bit and take another drink. And this is a good place to do a midstream grift. We're halfway done. We're halfway done with the stream, and we're about less than 1/10 of the way through all of this shit. But a lot of these things, there's a lot of more just dull emotions we don't even need to get into that come later. But what do we got? We got 344 people here now. It's great to see you all here as we explore what Johnny Depp is trying to hide, what he's trying to keep away from the jury, away from the public, away from you and me. If you like what we're doing here, please do me a good solid favor and hit that like button. We've got 270 likes, 272 likes now. Yesterday we got to just over 600 likes by the end of the show. Let's see if we can get another 325 during the next hour. If so, then hey, that'll be happy. And we have to remind you to hit that like button, please, if you haven't already done so. There's there's 50 more people here than there are likes, and some people that already given the likes have already left. So do me a solid, just reach down there and smack that like button. And if you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button and join us. This is what we do here. And as you've seen, the best way to get a hold of me, the best way to capture my attention is to hit me up with the super chats, because that gets instantly noticed. It gets instant color recognition, and I see it and I can respond accordingly. I want to make sure that I haven't missed anything. Brandon Lesko, thank you so much for your super chat. He said, I can't feel my face when I'm with you, and I like it. Brandon, I don't even know what that means, and pretty sure I don't want to know what that means. But thank you so much for that. Deeply appreciated super chat. Jeff's lips are turning blue, and he likes it. He likes it. I really don't have any idea what you're talking about, and you're really freaking me out. But thanks. You can't feel your face when you're with me. Okay. That's actually one of my tells for being drunk. I don't show that I'm drunk really easily. So by and large, people never have any idea when I'm drunk. Unless I'm really tired, then I just kind of fall asleep. But otherwise, I don't slur a lot. I get sillier and goofier. But my big personal tell when I know, hey, this is what we got to do, I got to go home, is when my lips go numb. If I drink a lot and I'm getting drunk, the first thing that happens is my lips go numb. So if I can't feel my lips, I know I'm going to be in a bad way before too long. So thanks for that super chat, and thanks for allowing me to explain that for some reason. Cheers to you. Ooh, that's good. And Flux, thank you so much for your super chat. Steph needs to put the drunk texting down. Get well soon. Put the drunk texting down, Steph. All right. All right, bring that back up again. There we go. Scroll. Want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. What do you mean? Everybody keeps saying I'm blue. Why the fuck do you mean I'm blue? How am I blue? I'm not blue. I don't know what you mean. Stop saying mean things about me. What do you mean I'm blue? I'm not blue. It's like, what was her? Veruca Salt. She was the bitchy one that got sucked into the goose that laid the golden egg thing. Who was the blueberry chick in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? It was Veronica. Was that her name? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the original, is one of my favorite movies. I can't think of her name. Violet. Her name was Violet. Violet somebody or other. Okay, song lyrics. All right. Am I blue? That's the only song I know. One quick comment here. Where did we go? I just kind of scrolling through the comments here and saw something. Someone was asking me if there's an update on the Rush Baldwin shooting thing. Yes, we'll get to that as soon as possible. There's been some safety reports that have been released, and we'll go over those safety reports. Augustus Gloop, no, he was the fat kid that got sucked into the chocolate pond and up the pipe. Mike TV was a little kid that got miniaturized and put in his mom's purse. Dang, it was Violet Beauregard. Cole Roberts for the win. Yes, it was Violet Beauregard. Oh, but Sandra beat you to it. Oh, sorry. Grumpy Pumper. God damn it, you made me say Grumpy Pumper. Oh, God. Yep. Violet Beauregard from Grumpy Pumper. Oh, God. Oh, but Danielle seemed to have beat everybody. Thank you, Danielle, with Violet got my lips. No, Violet Beauregard. Yeah, we knew it was Violet. You didn't get the last name. It looks like, yep, the way I see it. The way I see it, Danielle was the prime winner. Thank you. Yes, Violet Beauregard. Yeah, Veruca Salt. We talked about her. Man, I can't believe you made me say Grumpy Pumper on air. With that out of the way, oh God, let's get into motion in limine number 4. Wow, I'm surprised we didn't lose any subscribers during that. By the way, again, in case you've forgotten, hit the like and subscribe button, and hit the notification button, and give me massively, disgustingly huge super chats. Come on, don't let Stephanie show you up. You can do better than $200. Come on, someone throw in 500. Do we have 1,000? No, don't do that. I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not. Well, partly kidding. If you want to do that, I'm not going to stop you. But hey, all right. Motion in limine number 4, to exclude evidence and argument regarding litigation-related conduct and Russian connections of Adam Waldman. This was a big one. This was a biggie. They really, really wanted to get in that Adam Waldman was a puppet for Putin and was collaborating with Russians. And I skimmed through, I skimmed through a lot of these. This is one I didn't read. So I have not actually read this motion in limine because I thought it was just too ridiculous. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it doesn't matter at all. It's completely irrelevant whether Adam Waldman was up Putin's ass or not. Let's see if I'm right. All right, they want to exclude purported bad acts by Mr. Depp's former attorney Adam Waldman for the reasons as stated below. Based on Ms. Heard's conduct in this action to date, it is anticipated that she will attempt to distract and confuse the jury with irrelevant and salacious allegations against Mr. Waldman in an effort to taint Mr. Depp with Mr. Waldman's supposed misdeeds. For instance, Ms. Heard has inaccurately accused Mr. Waldman of pressuring witnesses to give testimony, and based on her efforts to explore the issue at deposition, can also be expected to attempt to inform the jury of the revocation of Mr. Waldman's pro hoc vice status in this case. In other words, he was removed as Johnny Depp's lawyer in this case, as a result of technical violations of the operative protective order in this case. Never mind that Ms. Heard has repeatedly violated the protective order. Oh, and we'll get into her violations of the protective order further down the line. Including upon entry of Ms. Heard's current lead counsel into this case, turning over Mr. Depp's document production to a third-party tabloid. But Mr. Waldman's conduct, I was right. Score 1 for me. I must be a legal expert. But Mr. Waldman's conduct, right or wrong, is irrelevant to the issues in this case. And allowing Ms. Heard to spend time attacking the conduct of one of Mr. Depp's attorneys would obviously have a wildly prejudicial impact on Mr. Depp. Mr. Waldman is not a precipient witness to the Depp-Heard relationship, and he is not a party to this action. The only conceivable reason to introduce any evidence about Mr. Waldman at trial is that certain of his alleged statements in 2020 about Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard form the basis of Ms. Heard's pending counterclaim. So to the extent that the counterclaim survives the trial, it's conceivable that Ms. Heard would be entitled to introduce evidence designed to establish that in 2020, at the time of the counterclaim statements, Mr. Waldman was acting with actual malice at Mr. Depp's direction, and that's exactly what she did. But Ms. Heard should stop there, and should not be allowed to turn this case into a circus trying to place before the jury evidence of Mr. Waldman's conduct more generally. And they set forth some arguments here. Any probative value, again, any value that the evidence would have as evidence is outweighed by unfair prejudice, undue consumption of time, and likelihood of confusing and misleading the jury. The end. So again, I think he won this motion because they were able to question Waldman about his statements that he made, but they weren't allowed to say specifically that he was up Putin's ass or whatever they wanted to argue in that regard. Scroll. Now, here we go. Mr. Depp is a bad guy. Here, John C. Depp II wants to exclude testimony regarding Mr. Depp's prior arrests and incidents of violence. So, Amber Heard has alleged that he has previous arrests and previous incidents of violence, and they want to bring that in. And Johnny Depp wants to keep it out. Johnny Depp is hiding the fact that he may have prior arrests and that he may already have been involved in prior incidents of violence. And he wants to hide that from the jury. He wants to hide that from you. Let's see. Let's see what this is all about. Smooth. All right. Introduction. As the court well knows, this action revolves around allegations by Ms. Heard, that Mr. Depp physically abused her. Allegations that Mr. Depp denies and intends to disprove at trial. It is anticipated that Mr. Heard will seek to improperly influence the jury by attempting to introduce evidence of alleged violence in the past by Mr. Depp towards other men, as well as unrelated arrests. Any such evidence is far afield to whether Mr. Depp abused his wife. Makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, it is. Any such evidence is far afield to whether Mr. Depp abused his wife, Ms. Heard, and thus is both irrelevant and unfairly prejudicial to Mr. Depp. Moreover, Ms. Heard likely intends to use Mr. Depp's prior arrests and allegations of minor violence involving paparazzi and other men as improper character evidence to suggest that Mr. Depp is somehow a violent character. No such evidence should be permitted. This is sort of kind of what we refer to as prior bad acts. Does something you did in the past, does something bad you did in the past mean that you did it this time? They're saying no. The prior bad acts, if they existed, have no bearing on what is alleged in this case. Just because somebody does something bad in the past doesn't mean they did something bad this time. So they're arguing that testimony concerning Mr. Depp's arrest record should be excluded because it is unrelated to Ms. Heard's claim and too remote to be anything but prejudicial to Mr. Depp. So Ms. Heard should be precluded from introducing any evidence of Mr. Depp's arrest records because it will serve no purpose other than to prejudice him in front of the jury, since no charges relate to this case. None of his prior bad acts relates to this case, therefore they should be excluded. So pursuant to VA blah, blah, blah law, a party in a civil case who has previously been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor involving moral turpitude, which usually means like sex offenses, and the number of such convictions may be elicited during examination of the party or accused. Here, however, Mr. Depp has not been convicted of any felony or misdemeanor involving moral turpitude. The rule goes on to say that the name or nature of any crime of which the party or accused was convicted, except for perjury, may not be shown, nor may the details of prior convictions be elicited unless offered to rebut other evidence concerning prior convictions. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. You're all seeing it. I'm seeing it too, and we'll get there. Boy, what have I done? There we go. Wow. They're saying Mr. Depp's arrest record shares no similarities with the instant matter. Ms. Heard cannot possibly be offering evidence of his arrest record to rebut prior convictions. Even if Ms. Heard were to properly introduce evidence of Mr. Depp's prior arrests, she must be able to show that Mr. Depp's prior or subsequent acts were both strikingly similar to the indicted offense and particularly distinctive or idiosyncratic. Ms. Heard simply cannot make this showing. Mr. Depp's arrest records are in no way similar to Ms. Heard's claims. The arrests, for which no charges were ever pursued, include property damage, verbal altercation with a man while abroad, and a physical altercation with a man while abroad. The most recent of these arrests was over 2 decades ago, so like 20 years ago. There's no fair deduction that can be made from these remote, unrelated, low-level incidents in assessing whether Mr. Depp engaged in domestic violence over 20 years later. That's what I was just saying. Just because he was accused but not prosecuted for possibly getting involved in a physical altercation with someone in another country does not prove that he abused Amber Heard right now, this time. In fact, in this Hilton case, the court held that the crime at issue and the arrest record, although substantially closer to the alleged crimes here, were found to have significant differences. We don't need to worry about that. So testimony regarding prior violence by Mr. Depp should be excluded. Well, don't you think if he's being sued for defamation in relation to a prior violent act, that his earlier acts of violence would be relevant to that? Doesn't it seem that way? That you've done something bad once, you may be inclined to do bad things twice? Well, Mr. Chu does not think so. Ms. Heard will seek to proffer evidence that portrays Mr. Depp as a violent man to improperly bolster her domestic violence case, even though any such incidents have been adjudicated and all incidents involve physical altercations with men. It's well established in Virginia that evidence of specific acts of misdemeanors committed by a witness is not admissible to impeach the credibility. This goes back to any probative value is outweighed by prejudice and the likelihood of misleading the jury. So this one's a little more tricky-ish. He has a prior record of arrest. Even if they didn't result in a conviction, he still has these records of arrest. He wants to keep those out. Amber Heard obviously wants to be able to say, see, look, he did this, and this in the past. So therefore, it makes sense that he would do this, and this now. But they argued that that's irrelevant. And they won this motion as well. None of Johnny Depp's prior arrest history or alleged abuse evidence was directly allowed in the court in this case. All right, let's kind of freak out here. Drellon, thank you so much for your super sticker. Your super stickers are always appreciated because I get to see the little puppy dog face here show up. Steph again, man, come on. My friends who are here with me wanted to contribute. So this is on behalf of Dahlia and Michael. Hey, Dahlia and Michael, who have been such troopers staying with me here at Cedars-Sinai. You've doxed yourself. Dahlia, Michael, you guys rock. You're taking good care of her. Please continue to take good care of her until she's ready to go. Cheers to both of you for being so damn awesome. And thank you for yet another incredibly generous super chat. Muchly appreciated. Wow. Okay. We had a comment here. Yes. Spatha says, Sunshinery, we might kill him if we did it on a Fuck It Friday stream. For those of you that don't know what a Fuck It Friday stream is, that's something I initiated last month. Either the first or the second Saturday of the month. In this case, it has to be the third because of my vacation schedule. We just say fuck it. On a Friday, we just say fuck it. And we read stupid articles, make stupid jokes, have chit chat. Last time we were all over the map with the things we discussed. But the caveat was it was a grift stream where I grifted hard for super chats. $50 got you you could tell me which alcoholic beverage to drink. There was a selection of 5, if I remember right. You got to choose which alcoholic beverage I drank and give a super chat. That kind of almost killed me. I went downhill real quick. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to try to protect my liver and up my game just a little bit. On this upcoming fucking Friday, I will be doing $100 shots, either a one-time contribution of $100 to get me to do a shot, or two $50 shots. I mean, two $50 donations will get a shot, as well as the $100 donation. I'm thinking that's what I might do, because a lot of you have $50 disposable income and you were trying to put me in the grave. So we'll have to make you work a little bit harder to put me in the grave this next Friday. $100 shots or an aggregate of two $50 shots will get me to do a shot. That's what I'm thinking. We'll see how it works out. I'll probably just end up drinking a lot. All right. Enough of Fuck It Friday. Let's get back on track here. What do we got? We got an hour and 25 minutes into the stream, 340 current. Wow. We've got 340 current viewers and 340 likes, but I don't think the 340 concurrent viewers are the same 340 that hit that like button. So those of you that are still sticking around, listening to me rant about stuff, hit that like button, go down there and hit that subscribe button and bring us up. We are 8 subscriptions shy of 22,600 subscriptions. Let's see if we can get 8 new subscriptions here in the next few minutes and bring us up to 22,600 subscriptions. That would be awesome. Okay, and somehow I've done it again. I somehow seem to continually dick around with this entirely too much and get myself lost. Let's find out where we are. Motion Limine 12. Yeah, we're way ahead of the game. We should be on number 5. I don't know how this gets messed up. It gets messed up because I do it. 7, 6, 5. Okay, number 5 was the prior arrest, so we're on number 6. Here is Motion in Limine number 6. Okay, never mind. That's the end of 5. There we go. This is just silly. Plaintiff Johnny C. Depp II's motion in limine number 6 to exclude evidence of negative social media traffic and purported Russian bot campaign regarding Ms. Heard. This is a good one. The Russian bot campaign regarding Ms. Heard. The delusion is real. Among the more preposterous claims, again, he calls him as he sees him. Ben Chu rocks. He calls him as he sees him. Among the more preposterous claims asserted by Ms. Heard in her counterclaim was the wild theory that she was the victim of a campaign of negative social media attention, supposedly orchestrated by Mr. Depp to smear her through an army of bots posting negatively about her. That conspiracy theory was reflected in Ms. Heard's third claim in her counterclaim for alleged violation of Virginia Computer Crimes Act, which was thrown out. Specifically, Ms. Heard alleged in her counterclaim that Mr. Depp initiated, coordinated, overseen, and or supported and amplified 2 Change.org petitions to tarnish job opportunities for Ms. Heard and created, coordinated, controlled, or manipulated social media accounts specifically for the purpose of targeting Ms. Heard. Poor Ms. Heard is being picked on by a bunch of Russian bots hired by Johnny Depp. That's the argument. Ms. Heard has also alleged that this campaign had some sort of Russian connection, apparently because Mr. Depp's former counsel of record, Adam Waldman, is known to have represented a high-profile Russian businessman. In addition to being entirely implausible, the purported bot campaign and Mr. Waldman's Russian client are legally irrelevant. By a letter opinion dated January 4, 2021, the court, former Chief Judge Bruce White presiding, dismissed Ms. Heard's claim for violation of the VCCA in its entirety. Eliminating the purported bot campaign is an issue in this case. So The judge excluded this bot campaign as part of the tax return and stuff like that. But what do we got here? This, I mean, this is just stupid. I don't even know what to say. She's just randomly just spewing shit into the atmosphere at this point. That's literally what's going on. Johnny Depp is supposedly taking time out of his life to run these change.org petitions. He's supposed to be rallying these troops, hiring Russian bots, and just going completely rando off the rails. It's ridiculous. It's dumb. It's stupid. And that's what Benchu is saying. Undeterred by the fact that these claims are no longer part of the case, which is this was such a ridiculous claim that Judge White, before Judge Ascarati even got involved, just dismissed these issues out of hand. Even though they're no longer part of the case, Ms. Heard persists in trying to insert them as an issue. For instance, in her responses to Mr. Depp's 5th interrogatories, blah, 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 Ms. Heard included the following allegation. I have been the subject over 1 million negative tweets and posts arising after the defamatory statements that are part of an organized campaign by Mr. Depp that is triggered by statements in the press or about me. In addition, the orchestrated bot campaign was specifically used to generate signatories to a remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2 position, and my dog stepped on a bee. I just added that last part. So, yeah. Ugh. She's bitching that all of this has resulted, all the bot campaigns have caused over 1 million negative tweets. Now, how many fucking negative tweets are there, Amber Heard? Don't you wish from the bottom of your cold heart that there were only 1 million negative tweets about you now? Don't you wish from the bottom of your heart, I repeat, that there were only 1 million negative tweets about you in the middle of the trial? The justice for Johnny and negative shit about her. There was over 10 billion tweets. 10 billion, not 1 million. That's 10,000 1 millions. That's getting 1 million negative tweets times 10,000. Yeah. Love Tug. Yeah, we love some Tug. So yeah, God. So anywho, that's what she complained about. Oh, and then, the Russian bots gave her the negative views and negative statements in the press, and the bots, you've gathered signatures to remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2. Yeah, don't you wish? Heard should be precluded from offering any evidence at trial regarding the claims that were tossed out by the court, including the purported Russian bot campaign against her. The jury should not be allowed to hear any reference to Ms. Heard's ludicrous conspiracy theory about a supposed social media campaign against her or any supposed Russian involvement in the same, as it has no probative or evidentiary value and will only mislead the jury into believing that it is part of the case. Ms. Heard cannot simply ignore the fact that her petition for counterclaim was dismissed, that portion of her counterclaim was dismissed. Georgina Archer, legal vices, love some Tug, the umbrella man, you naughty-minded peeps. Yeah, love to tug on the umbrella. I'm filthy. All right, and then they go through the argument here, which is kind of funny how it's worded. There's really no reason to read this except for just the fact that Benchu wrote it, and some parts I think are really hilarious. She should not be allowed to covertly sneak her dismissed claims under the VCCA back into this case in a transparent effort to slime Mr. Depp before the jury by blaming him for every nasty post on her social media in recent years. Much less should she be allowed to suggest that Mr. Depp is responsible for a Russian conspiracy of bots based on dismissed claims. Her bizarre conspiracy theory that Mr. Depp is behind an army of bots is neither supported by any evidence nor relevant to the claims and defenses in this action as framed in the pleadings. But even if he's going to grant her this, even if Mr. Depp were responsible for every unpleasant post about Ms. Heard on social media, which obviously isn't the case, that would be a separate tort for which Ms. Heard has no viable claim pending and would not be relevant to the damages she claims to have suffered from the 3 surviving counterclaim statements. So yeah, here's the thing. Even if we grant her this situation, even if we grant this, the fact remains that that's a separate issue. And you shouldn't be taken into account at this point. Yet Ms. Heard has refused to let go of this story and has signaled that she intends to keep pursuing it. For instance, she engaged Catherine Arnold as an expert, whose testimony about damages in this case will include the purported bot campaign, claiming that tweet patterns about Ms. Heard are an orchestrated bot campaign by Mr. Depp and his representatives that is triggered by statements in the press by or about Ms. Heard, and that the bot campaign was successfully used to generate signatories on a Remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2 petition. She continues to cite the bot campaigns in her interrogatory responses. She's saying just all of this bullshit should be rejected and barred, because it is so unlikely to be true. Ugh. So let's see. It skips down some more here. And that's kind of the end of that one. For the foregoing reasons, plaintiff respectfully requests that this court grant its motion in limine and exclude any testimony referencing an alleged bot campaign or Mr. Waldman's Russian client, which has already been thrown out by this court. Amber does this a lot. You'll notice with some of these motions. She'll lose and then she'll come back to another court and file it again, thinking that somehow she'll win the second time around when the court's already made its decision. Ah, dear. All right. We'll do one more of these for tonight. And there's a lot of these. And again, we'll be able to skip a bunch of them later that are just not really important, but they're front loading the important ones here. So this, they want to limit the prior deposition of Tracy Jacobs. This is one that doesn't need a lot of attention. Laura Heard, Amber Laura Heard. Where are we at here? Okay, the order precluding the defendant Amber Heard from introducing testimony from the depositions of Tracy Jacobs that were taken in other unrelated litigations. So they're saying that Terry Jacobs' deposition was done in another matter that has nothing to do with this, and therefore, just what it says. They were taking they're unrelated. Therefore, they're unrelated litigations. They're in different jurisdictions and between different parties, and they were a bajillion years ago. So they're saying that these depositions should not be inserted into this matter. Okay, Ms. Heard deposed Mr. Depp's former talent agent, Tracy Jacobs, in connection with this case. Ms. Heard has submitted extensive designation for Ms. Jacobs' deposition for use at trial. If Ms. Heard had wished to further depose Ms. Jacobs, Ms. Heard could have done so. Ms. Jacobs was deposited pursuant to a third-party subpoena in California, which presumptively limits a deposition to 7 hours, but allows for further time beyond where appropriate, blah, blah, blah. Astoundingly, Ms. Heard's deposition designations for trial now include significant designations from 2 prior depositions of Ms. Jacobs taken into connection with 2 separate lawsuits. I think that is no bueno. Here we have these the claims. Um, John Depp and Edward White versus the Mandel Company. Ms. Heard was not a party to the lawsuit, which has nothing to do with her. Ms. Heard was not even mentioned in Mr. Depp's complaint. Few more people. They were investigating allegations by Mr. Depp against his former attorney for breach of fiduciary duties, meaning he stole his money, malpractice, and violations of certain California penal provisions. Ms. Heard was not a party to the lawsuit, and once again was not even mentioned in Depp's complaint. And he says that the statute is clear that they do not involve the same subject matter as the present action, which involves allegations of abuse by Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. So that's one thing that Amber Heard and Elaine did fairly well during the Game of Thrones. Don't you feel like this is like this is so random. We just have everybody that's not involved in other matters inserting themselves into this competition to see who can just beat the other one down, who can claim the throne. I get so frustrated reading these. I mean, Tracy Jacobs was deposed for like, what was it, 1 billion hours? 7 hours. Deposed for 7 hours. And here we have things like this. He has these allegations against his former manager for negligence, breach of fiduciary duty, and all these other things. They spent millions of his dollars without his permission. And Ms. Heard wasn't a party to that lawsuit where the deposition was taken. The allegations by Mr. Depp against his former attorney for breach of fiduciary duty, malpractice, and violations of California commercial provisions. Again, she wasn't a party to that. And they're saying that this deposition was taken in a prior action is admissible if he's more than 100 miles from the place where the trial took place. It was taken in a previous action, and 3 of the previous actions between the same parties. They're saying none of these things is relevant to this. So stop trying to bring this shit in. Ms. Heard had an opportunity to depose Mr. Jacobs and did so. She used a mere 4 hours and never sought to bring her back for further deposition. She had no reason to seek to use other depositions, and in any event had no basis to do so. For these reasons, the 2 prior depositions that were taken in connection with separate actions and separate parties should be excluded. That is a big, like I said, this is just a big Game of Thrones bullshit, where it's just, how shitty can you be to the other person to try to she's like Cersei freaking Lannister here. Whatever it takes to get on top, whatever it takes to do this, whatever it takes to win. Bring in shit that has nothing to do with this. We want to bring in the UK trials. We want to bring in the the procedural shit that the cops may have done wrong. We want to bring in Tracy Jacobs' depositions in other cases that have nothing to do with this case. She wants to try to bring in all this shit to dredge up all this shit from the past, shit from irrelevant countries, shit from irrelevant people and irrelevant matters. She wants to dredge this all up and squash it on Johnny Depp. And this is what Johnny Depp is trying to keep out. So far, all of his primary motions to limit and to exclude evidence have been around not being relevant whatsoever to this case and being just purely prejudicial. Like I said, we've only gone through 7 of these so far. Where are we in a page count? Let me get to the end of this particular document. Where are we here? 69 out of 424 pages. That's where we are. If we are really generous, then we are 74 pages. So we're basically 1/6 of the way through. As I said, we're going to be able to skip a lot tomorrow. We should be able to wrap up the remaining 350 pages tomorrow, I hope, or Thursday. But I mean, this is just, it beats you down after a while. This is why I wanted to get out of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard business. It just pounds you into the ground at some point. You're just hearing the same shit over and over and over and over again. Some of you didn't see Game of Thrones. Just imagine some wicked woman who is trying to do whatever it takes to dominate. Think the Snow White, the witch that gives the apple. Think Maleficent. Think whatever. You're just like some angry woman who is just trying to do all kinds of shit. Whatever it takes, ends justify the means. Now, again, if you're wondering, just as a preview, the next motion in limine is to limit references to other litigations involving Mr. Depp. She wants to talk about other cases that are ongoing that have nothing to do with this case. That falls right in line with everything she's done, basically in relation to the previous 7 motions in limine. And I know I'm repeating myself, but she wants to get in stuff that does not relate even to this country, stuff that does not relate to this matter, witness statements that do not relate to this matter. And the only logical explanation for why she would want to bring all of this irrelevant stuff in is just to simply say Johnny Depp is a bad guy. Johnny Depp had his case dismissed in a foreign country. Johnny Depp has other litigation that's ongoing. Johnny Depp has been involved in a lawsuit with the Tracy Jacobs. Johnny Depp has prior bad acts. Johnny Depp has been arrested for things. The only reason to do that is just to show that he's a bad person and to influence the jury and make them go, oh yeah, there's a lot of shit here. We should dismiss his case. We should find him liable to pay Amber Heard. It's just, that's why I get frustrated. I hate it when people do things to be stupid and petty to each other. And that's what Team Amber is doing here. She's just trying to be prejudiced. She's trying to bring up all this prejudicial shit. So as we come here to the end of today's show, I think that's a good time to take a breather. We've got 10 minutes to wind down. We'll burn through a bunch more of these tomorrow or Thursday and hopefully wrap it up. Thursday, if not maybe next Tuesday, but then we'll go into what everybody wants. The next stage to this will be to go what everybody else is doing, looking at things that other people are looking, which is what does Amber Heard want to hide? So for the next couple of days, we're going to focus on these things that Johnny Depp is trying to hide from the jury, trying to hide from the public, trying to hide from you and me. And as you can see, so far, it's been a big, fat, juicy, squelchy, slimy, stinky nothing burger. There's been no sinister things that he's tried to have excluded or limited about him. It's just saying, Judge, we need to exclude this shit because it's irrelevant and it's wasting your time. It's irrelevant and it's already been decided. It's irrelevant because it happened somewhere else. So far, everything he's wanted to exclude or limit has simply been, it doesn't matter, and we don't need to waste the court's time with it. Let's see if we can continue that up, or if there's going to be some really juicy details, something really scandalous and super negative about himself that he accidentally got released. Only time will tell. Christine Mille, or Mille, I forgot how to pronounce that again. Mille, I think it was Mille, if I remember correctly. Sorry. Happy. Hello from New Jersey. Love to you and all the law tubers. Yeah, love to all the law tubers, but especially love to me. I'm a lovable guy. Thank you so much for that super chat. I need another drink. She's welcome to BS the Legal Vices family, lol. 30 seconds, she would be crying into her bruise kit. Are we talking about Amber here? Johnny Depp has scissors for fingers. He stepped on a bee. Well, again, the point. What we've done is not overly entertaining today. It doesn't have gotcha moments. It doesn't have spice. It doesn't have scandal. It doesn't have intrigue. But that's the point of this. The point of me going over this is simply to show that, yes, Johnny Depp is trying to have things excluded as alleged in media reports, but the things he's trying to have excluded are nothing burgers. They're dull, they're pointless, they're meaningless, they don't have any relevance to this. So we can see that by going through these. And we'll try it again. I'm going to try my best to wrap these things up in the next day or two. And then we can move on to Amber Heard and what she is looking at. And later on in this stack, there's a couple of little comments. You know, the trial transcripts are the fun part, or the deposition transcripts, because then you get more of these salacious little comments being made back and forth. Wow. I hope you found this interesting, and that's even though it's not the most exciting part of the document release, I think it's the most important because one of the most important yesterday's was, why did Amber Heard have to undergo a medical examination, but Johnny Depp didn't? Today it's like, well, everybody is pointing out that Amber Heard is trying to hide stuff. She's trying to exclude stuff, trying to bury stuff, trying to draw attention away from stuff. But Johnny Depp's doing the same thing too. But are they the same thing? I don't think so. Because she's trying to hide serious stuff. She tried to hide serious stuff. She tried to exclude certain things. But the stuff that Johnny Depp is trying to exclude are just, you're wasting the court's time. It's already been decided. Everybody's here. And they're basically just saying this doesn't need to be part of the proceedings. So I think what she's trying to exclude and what he's trying to exclude are different things. Do the sidebars get revealed? They would be in appellate doc if I recall correctly. And they wouldn't be put out unless they were part of a record that was transferred to an appellate court or something like that. That's if I recall correctly. Vicky T, you'll have to go back. Watch, you've been at a doctor's appointment with laryngitis. Come on, peeps. Stay out of hospitals. Stay out of doctor's offices. Be healthy and don't get in car accidents. Hey, from Denmark. Wow, you just caught us right at the end of our stream here. Darn. Again, I know this will be the third time I've said this. This isn't the salacious comments, but it's interesting in the fact that what he's trying to have excluded is being kind of spun in the media one way. But as you see here, it's pretty much nothing. He's just saying we need to exclude this stuff because it's irrelevant, has nothing to do with this case, has been decided, and or it's just too prejudicial. So let's continue with that tomorrow. And thank you. I guess we can wrap it up now at 1 hour and 53 minutes with 337 viewers and 424 likes. It was a good, solid night. I promise that we'll make tomorrow's a little more entertaining. There are a few little tidbits in there of stuff that Johnny Depp's trying to keep out. But what they are, we'll just have to see tomorrow. Everybody that's here, my mods, as always, do some great work. You keep things together. You keep things rolling. To you people in the chat, thank you so much. Couldn't do it without you. Wouldn't be here without you. And I appreciate that you're all, I mean, I don't want to say be pedantic, but I mean, thank you for being grown-ups. We have a very open chat here. The mods are very good at taking a hands-off approach and making small, minor suggested corrections in the rare case that that's necessary. So I love the fact that you guys can talk about whatever the hell you want while listening to me talk about this dumb shit. I have only two rules on my channel that the mods enforce. One is don't say anything that's going to get me deplatformed. I mean, anything like racist or you know where the lines are. You don't cross the lines on that like that. Don't do anything that's going to get me deplatformed. I like my channel. I want to keep it. And two, when I have guests on, be respectful of the guests. They're there. Don't say shitty things about my guests. Those are the only two rules I have. And you guys do an amazing job of following those rules. Well, we did this at the end of May, June, July. So a little over 2 months we've been doing this. And I think we've only had to ban 2 people for being dicks. So I appreciate the fact that all of you in the chat are responsible, respectable adults, even if you don't want to be called that. You're all square. You're all retard. No, you're all square. You're all goofballs. You're all, the GHEY version. But you know where the line are. You know where the line is, and you don't cross it. I appreciate that. I appreciate the mods for putting up with the open chat policy and not being personally offended by things that are said and not letting your feelings get ahead of you. Thank you to all of you who do these donations, the super chats, the super likes, the super stickers. They're always appreciated, never expected. I don't expect any of you to throw your hard-earned money at me, but when you choose to do so, either through willingness or, as apparently in Steph's case, the result of strong medication meeting credit cards. Just kidding, Steph. I know you're not taking meds. Okay, this isn't important. People say, can we still talk smack? You can talk smack about guests. Especially if it's Nick Rekieta. But there's a difference, and we all know what the difference is. There's a difference between good-natured ribbing someone and just being a fucking asshole to them. And we all know where the line is. So, respect the guests. The guests are there to present something. The guests are there to discuss something. And why be a dick to them? Again, talk smack, but just don't be mean. And we all know what that means. And it's just my personal opinion. And I have zero circuses in that monkey. I have 0 monkeys in the circus. But I kind of thought, what happened in Joe's comment section, I probably would have put some sort of stop to it on my channel, just because I don't think you say shitty things about guests, regardless of who they are. You let all of your guests on, whether, even the ones you don't agree with, but don't be a dick to them, call them out on bullshit and stuff. Sure. But just to say mean things and think it's funny, just to intentionally insult someone. We don't do that here. And again, it doesn't even need to be talked about because you guys never really have. So there's only been a couple of people that have ever had to be banned in this entire process, in this entire time I've been doing this YouTube thing, because we all know where the line is. And I appreciate that. It's fun. It's fun to see how close to that line you can come without going over. But once you go over, you're just kind of a dick. And I don't, and if there's fighting going on in the stream, if there's bad feelings going on in the stream, that means people leave and don't come back. It means that like I said, we'll have between 300 and 700 people on an average stream. If someone raids me, I may get 1,000 or more. But when there's 1 or 2 people fucking around in the chat and fighting and being just unnecessarily shitty people, it totally brings the entire chat to a stop. It brings me to a stop. and it just kind of ruins things. But nobody's done that here, except for just a couple of people. So that's the great thing. We all know where it is. We all have fun. That's the whole purpose of doing this, an open forum for exchanging ideas. And it's fun. And we know it's fun. But there are those people that I've never understood why people get off on being mean and evil to people for no real reason, just because they can. And I'm glad that you're all not part of that. And I'm glad the mods are considerate of people's feelings and allow most of the chats to go on. And again, I know super special thanks to Steph for the absolute generosity of the super chats. You need to really, really take care of yourself, and you need to get better from your accident. And the other super chatters and super stickers, thank you so much for all of this. Everything has been great tonight. It's time to hit the sack. And we'll get back to Amber Heard / Cersei Lannister and her efforts to overtake the country and the kingdom tomorrow. Oh, shoot. Y'all be good. Take care of yourselves. I'm not sure what time I'll be here tomorrow, and there's a very slight chance that I may not be here tomorrow. And if I am, we'll either do this, or if it's a truncated version, we might just do it like a whiskey tasting and just bullshit for a few minutes. The reason being is my office does this thing occasionally, which I call forced fun. It's one of these, okay, the office is all going to go do something together. I was informed today that tomorrow is forced fun day for the office. We're all, as an entire office, going to be going to see the local baseball team play. So we'll watch a baseball game after work. And ordinarily, the games will finish around 10:30 p.m. my time, which means I get home around 11:30 my time. And I just may be too wiped out. I'm still kind of in the tail end of adjusting from jet lag. So I may just be too tired to not be able to do it. If I do it, then, it'll be super late and I'll still have to work the next day. So it may be just a truncated thing, half hour, an hour. We can do a whiskey tasting and talk about my legal vices or anything else you want to talk about. Or the game might wrap up quickly and I'll be home at 10 o'clock and I'll be able to do a full 2-hour stream. It's literally going to be dependent upon what happens at the baseball game. So keep looking at Twitter. My Twitter is The Legal Vices. Keep looking here for the notifications. And sometime around, I'll say 9 a.m. Eastern, which would be 2 p.m. London, and around 10 p.m. Korea time, I'll be able to definitively say what's going to be happening. So we're looking at that about 21 hours from now. So we'll find out. If not, we'll be back in full force on Thursday and wrap this up. Hopefully Friday again, Fair and Balanced will be on here when we're talking about Bigfoot, ghost hauntings, the secrets of the Romanov family, maybe do a little bit of Illuminati. We'll get into a lot of things. And if you have any topics you want to bring up, if there's any particularly spooky haunting videos or exorcism videos or good quality Bigfoot stuff, please send it to my email, thelegalvices@gmail.com. We'll look through and decide if we want to use some for the show on Friday, the conspiracy show that we'll be doing with Fair and Balanced. That's how we stand. That's what we're doing. And then finally, the farthest in the future I have planned is next Tuesday. We will have Andrea Burkhart on the channel to talk about these documents and others that she finds interesting and helpful. All right. On that note, everybody have a super fantastic night. I am going to cut it off now. I am not going to be distracted. I promise. Oh, look, there's a squirrel. Hey, that's just me and my ADHD. We're done. Take care. Mods, thank you. Chatters, thank you. Super chatters, thank you. Super stickers, thank you. New subscribers, thank you. New people who have hit the like button, old people who have hit the like button. Thank all of you. Until tomorrow and or possibly the next day, take care of yourself and make sure you enjoy your legal vices. Until next time.